Good evening and welcome to WCAT's election night coverage of the 2018 Wakefield town election. My name is Bill Carroll. I'll be hosting this evening. And with me is select person Ann Santos, filling in for Gerard Lehman, who is somewhere we don't know and may lose his position. We have tonight several contested races, I think more than last year. The Board of Selectmen, we have 4 candidates, Paul Donaco and Brian Falvey, incumbents. 2 challengers, Deb Butler and Julie Galvan Smith. We have the school committee with Colleen Guardia, James Horn, Amy Purcell, Susan Valet, and Robert Vincent. And also, Municipal Gas and Light Commissioner is also contested. Kenneth Chase, Robert Brooks, Jennifer Calais, and Wayne Tarr. The other contested race this evening is the Board of Health, which is Laurel Skindle Gordon. I know her really well, and she's going to kill me. Guardia, right? Gorville. And it says sample. I can't read it there. And Sonia, what is that? I can't read that either. Borda. It's also on my ballot.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah. No, we're going to get to you. You have to hold for a minute. You know, the guy's never had patience since I've known him. The tax collector, Kathleen Kelly, congratulations to her. She was unopposed and she won. Your town moderator won again. Library trustees, 3 for 3 positions. Kevin Patrick Scanlon, Cindy Schatz, and Amy Lemanek. Board of Assessors, Jane D'Addario won again in the planning board, Christopher Foley. With us tonight, taking sort of the Steve Kornacki role on MSNBC, is Anthony Guardia. Anthony is the Chief Development Officer of the Stoneham Wakefield Boys and Girls Club, and he's doing a fabulous job at it. You may also know him as he was formerly the Doogie Howser of the school committee. How old were you the first time you ran? 13?
I was 19.
12 or 13, I think. I think he's lying. I think he was 13.
19.
But anyway, Anthony
elected,
knows all things local Wakefield politics. He's encyclopedic in his knowledge and an agitator, shall we say, in a very good sense. So why don't you give us a rundown on tonight's races?
No, I'd love to, and thank you for inviting me again, and thank you to WCAT. I do want to wish Gerard Lehman the best of luck. He is down in Mexico on behalf of the Trump administration negotiating for the wall, and if he negotiates like he does with municipal budgets, I'm sure there will not be a wall. So, with that said, we're going to start with the races. We're going to go to our first slide. What race do you guys want to talk about first? We're going to go right into the school committee, which has probably been getting the most attention, at least on social media. You have Colleen Guardia. She's a small business owner in Wakefield, I think she calls it North Ave Title, but it's a title writing company. She does great work now. She's involved in the PTO. I think she has kids at each level, at the high school, Galvan, and elementary school. I would say when she first pulled, she was probably the favorite to win, but it's become an incredibly competitive race. You also have, and let's see if they go in order, James Horn, right? Who, he does have that spiky haircut going. Probably haven't heard as much from him. I don't know him personally, but we haven't seen the lawn signs, haven't seen the letters. You have Amy Purcell, again, another longtime Wakefield resident. Husband's a firefighter. She's been involved in quite a few different committees, a few different boards. Then you have Susie Vayu, again, very involved. Everything from the Boys and Girls Clubs to the PTAs. You've seen a lot of letters in the paper on her, especially recently. And then Robert Vincent, who is probably the newest candidate to Wakefield. Just a very, very impressive background. A Navy JAG officer, a Navy judge after being a JAG officer. And I think this race is going to be incredibly interesting because if you look in the back, I would say 3-4 years now, you've seen this transition in Wakefield. You've seen us go from probably your typical incumbents, your typical usual elected officials, the household names, you know, the Currans, the Dan Benjamins, you know, you see all these people transitioning to new families. So let's just say last year, who would have picked the top 2 vote getters I know this was the selectman race, but it was Maureen Butts and Ed Dombrowski. Year before that, we had 2 new people with Peter May, Tony Longo get on. So what we're going to see on the school committee is 2 new people, no matter what, get on. But the interesting part is, how is that going to play with the other races? So are we going to go to the Board of Selectmen next? Is that number 2? All right, I'm going to nod. And that's going to go to Deborah Butler. So again, very active. We've seen a lot of letters in the paper. Lives right at great lawn sign location. By the way, if you're ever going to run, try to live on Main Street. It makes your life a lot easier. But she's had a passionate group of people, and it's really, you know, again, I don't have any scientific knowledge behind this. I'm just looking as I'm driving. I would say arguably some of the most lawn signs out of all the candidates. Keep going. Who's next?
Gotcha.
Paul Donaco. He's been around, I think this will be his 10th year if he gets reelected. With Brian Falvey, I think would be next. And that would be his 7th year. And again, yeah. Paul and Brian have been involved in arguably every major initiative in town, everything from Brightview to the events. You know, you're talking Festival Italia, Holiday Stroll, and I'm just so curious to see, and one more candidate, and then we'll go back to the analysis. Julie Smith Galvan, again, relatively newcomer, incredible, owns her own business, started Sustainable Wakefield, has really pushed a number of initiatives in town. And what I'm really, really interested to see is that school committee race where you're going to have all this new energy, these new people who have not been involved politically before, is that going to come down to the selectman race? Is that going to, I guess, trickle up to the selectman race? And then who is that going to help? Are you going to see that put Julie Smith and maybe Deb Butler over the top? Are you going to see Julie Smith and maybe Brian or Julie Smith and Paul go over the top? It is just so curious to me to see how this breaks down. You know, we're going to go, I want to mention one last thing before we move on to the final race, which is the Municipal Gas and Light Commissioner. What you could see happen that would be incredibly interesting is on the school committee side, is you could see Colleen Guida, Amy Purcell, and Susie Veilleux. They're all hockey moms. Amy and Susie live, I think, in the same precinct, as does Bob Vincent. So you could see some interesting vote splits, and I think it's just going to be so curious how those tallies run out.
Oh, I thought you meant because they were hockey moms, like a fight might break out.
No, I meant like, no, the same, you're going to have the same, a lot of the same pool of voters having to pick, you know, 2 out of 3. What do you do when you're friends with 3 people? In a local elections, you have a lot of local relationships.
So I think, Anthony, it's the first time in a few years that I've seen so many women, because that's who they are, who are heavily involved in PTO.
That's
that
true.
Now have jumped the next step. For a long time, we didn't see that level of engagement for parents who worked at a very local level or coached in Little League, take that next step, which is a big step to run for office and represent the whole town. So it's going to be very interesting.
What do you think motivated that? What do you think caused that to take that next step?
So I think with some of them, there were personal agendas. Sounds, I don't want it to sound nefarious, but there were important positions that folks really wanted to push because they felt like maybe their voice wasn't getting heard. Amy Purcell, for one, was very much devoted to the special ed budget, which was important to her. So I think maybe it was something personal that they realized if they, as opposed to not complaining, but let's get involved in work. For someone like Julie Smith Galvan, I know she's been thinking about this for a while, has been very interested in the politics of the town and decided again, hey, let me throw my hat in the ring.
No, absolutely. And, you know, Bill, I would love your take on this because you've been doing this for so long now. I mean, I think...
You know what I find interesting is, I find it interesting that 2 solid, long-time incumbents on the Board of Selectmen are being challenged. I find that interesting.
But does that...
And as much as it probably isn't reassuring to either Paul or Brian, I find it somewhat refreshing that, you know, candidates came out and were willing, you know, to take on. That's a difficult race, Board of Selectmen, you know, that's, it's the top of the ticket, if you will. It's you know what I mean. So I find that interesting.
Do you think that comes from just the surge of new energy from 2 years ago and going to now? Again, I hate to group them because I know they don't all agree on the same positions, but it's just.
No, I agree with you about that.
But it's been new people.
I think to see the last two, the way that it was doable. It was doable. It wasn't, for years. When I first started, it was the same people sat there. Nobody challenged. I mean, but they hardly didn't even run. And now and the other thing, in addition to a lot of women, there's a lot of younger folks on here, okay?
Right.
I mean, Falvey's young by most standards, you know what I mean?
All standards.
Yeah, but I find this new infusion here of younger folks I find interesting.
Right.
Before we get to municipal gas and light, the other contested race, which is really kind of interesting, and your former bailiwick, is the Board of Health.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's interesting. We have a nurse. Laurel's been on for years and is a nurse. And the other candidate, Borda, is an
doctor.
MD. Yeah.
Right.
Which is, I mean, years ago it was anybody could be on.
Right.
I mean, you were on, weren't you?
That's where I started. I was on. But as an attorney, that
no, I understood.
could make
That
sense.
was I was just sort of a little
Digging.
levity there.
Attorneys
Yeah,
can do anything.
Yeah.
Well, so what I also think is interesting is certainly when I ran, and I think I ran for Board of Health, I was on there 7 or 8 years prior to doing Selectman. There was a wait your turn. You got a lot of that at 19.
Always.
Right. So it's not your turn. You need to wait your turn and let some other folks run. And I think and I'm not a fan of that argument. I think if you think you should run, you should run. And I think we're seeing that now.
Can I ask, and I'm still curious, and Bill, your take as well. Do you think, and we're just shooting stuff against the wall here, do you think the school committee energy, where you have a lot of similar candidates, a lot of similar pool of voters, do you think that may hurt Paul and Brian being reelected in the sense that you have some people who are going to come out and, how many times have I seen people really good? Susie Veilleux is a very good friend of Deb Butler. It doesn't mean they agree on everything, but they're just good friends. Amy Purcell has a lot of good friends I know, and you go around, you see a lot of mutual lawn signs. Again, I don't think there was any strategy behind it, but do you think you're just going to see a surge of voters that may bring all new people?
It'll be interesting to see how it impacts it.
Yep.
That will be interesting to see how it. I think that school committee could come down to like 20, 30 votes. I really do. I really do. I don't think. I think
you're right.
And Bob's an impressive guy. He's got a resume that stands alone, and his commitment is interesting. He's not somebody who was at the PTO meetings, but he was during the debate. His commitment is unquestioned.
Well, this is just a political science theory. Do you think people vote by neighborhood or by identity? And by that I mean, if you are to say by neighborhood, you are going to argue then that Bob Vincent, Amy Purcell, and Susie Veilleux, who all live within a block of each other.
I don't know that that's true.
Wait,
I think Susie lives closer to me. Amy's over by the
but
old
it's the
Montrose.
same dull
We're getting really
area.
local now,
No,
aren't
I'm
we?
West Side.
Yeah, you are West Side.
I'm West Side.
Yeah, you're like the rich
Come
section of town.
Yeah, right.
Okay, you guys. Okay, let's stop that stuff here.
No, but
All right,
I do think,
Okay, go ahead.
I
Go
do
ahead.
think that if someone's in your neighborhood, you're more apt to meet them.
Exactly.
You're more apt to know them, and I think that makes a difference in casting a vote in a town election.
I think, and in the old days, we used to call it reputation. Now we call it your brand. But I think your average voter who pays attention, looks at these folks and thinks, they may disagree with 1 or 2 points, but I think it's who's qualified to do the job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's what's been happening recently. I think the debates on CAT, I think the increased letters in the paper, I think the ads in the paper. I know since when I first moved to town, many years ago, till now, there's much more media from which people can get a sense of who these people are and what their brand is. And I really think that's what I think. So I don't know if it's neighborhood.
Yeah.
I'm sure if you know somebody, bang, that's it. You know them, they're your friend, you go out and vote for them. But I think if you're just the average Joe who's looking here, you think, do they have their signs up? Are they making? That's always effort. That's always a
Right.
big thing. Let's before we get too far in, let's Anthony take a look at the gas and
Gas and light,
Yeah.
absolutely.
This is a good race.
Do you guys want me to walk back over there? No? All right, good. We'll stay here.
Yeah.
So
He'll go over with the numbers, you know, when he does his Kornacki thing.
Oh, that's
bends at the waist.
That's going to be wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
So, gas and light. We got Ken Chase, incumbent Ken Chase, Robert Brooks Jr., Jennifer
Okay.
Calais, and Wayne Tarr.
Yeah. I mean, Chase is an incumbent.
Yep.
Okay. Brooks, I don't know much. Calais ran a great campaign,
Yep,
and Wayne is
absolutely.
Wayne. Wayne is qualified for this job. I mean, the polls are closed now, so I can be. But this is, Wayne's. I mean, he's legendary in politics in this town. But I'm telling you, when I read his stuff, this is something Wayne would know. You know what I mean? The municipal gas and light.
Right.
I mean, it's interesting.
To one point here, just because you just mentioned it and you're alluding to it, how lucky are we in Wakefield? You said this for the past few years now, Bill, and I'm stealing it from you, is that all the candidates are quality candidates.
Absolutely.
We don't have one candidate where we look at him like, oh, that guy better not win.
Yeah.
All these candidates can
and
do
that
a
was
good
not
job.
always true.
No,
That was not always true. I
true.
remember when I used to do the show, we were talking before we came on. The first election coverage show I did was in the old school. We sat on milk crates or something, and some of the candidates were scary when they came in. I have to tell you, I wouldn't know. I had difficulty communicating. This slate here is it's impressive.
No,
Yeah,
it-
and I'm supposed to add that Bob Vincent is also on the Human Rights Commission.
Oh, he is?
Yes, he is.
is?
And of course, our producer, David Watts Jr., is on the commission, so I have to say that. This is why they have this little earpiece here, so I will make sure I mention that. Yeah, he's on the Human Rights Commission also. So, yeah, this is an impressive group of folks.
It's interesting from the Board of Selectmen perspective, which I have, that some of
Okay.
the campaigning was
Yeah. No, I'm
fresh
talking to these guys.
ideas, fresh
Absolutely.
voices.
We got some
Ted?
preliminary numbers
Oh,
over
Oh, all
there.
right. Hey,
Yeah.
our first numbers.
Yeah.
As always, I know Gerard Lehman's probably watching this in Mexico. Gerard, are you excited? All right, you guys are killing me here. There we go. So this is the first school committee election results. Do we know what precinct?
I think it's 4.
So this is
Yeah, it's
that
4,
home.
yeah.
That's
Okay.
Dolbear, right?
Yeah, can you let me see those?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, there you go.
So Guida with a dominating.
Whoa.
Wow, 363. Horn 40. Purcell 215. Vincent 132. Vayu 122. I'll tell you, if this is precinct 4, which is again that's the Dolbear School, right? No, it's which one is it? This is Greenwood.
Oh, Greenwood.
This is
Oh, this is
Greenwood.
Greenwood.
So this is expected
Guida's.
then.
Yeah,
Then this
that's
is
expected.
Colleen's
Yep.
home district.
That's right.
She needed to clean up. She did exactly what she had to do there. So the question is, how many more votes are going to come in? Can Susie and Bob and Amy flip this in their home districts? We'll find out. What do you guys think?
I think nailing your home district
There
and
goes my
having
20-30 vote
that
race.
strong in impact is huge, which is great.
No,
I mean, that a lot of neighbors and friends. Colleen ran a very active campaign, like most of them, but in her neighborhood came out for her.
Well, absolutely. And Greenwood's always the interesting one because we talk overrides, and this has been since I've been on the school committee. What is the plan with the Greenwood school? And I think Greenwood parents, and rightfully so, share a frustration where they say, you're going to do the high school, you've done the middle school, you've done the Woodville, you've done the Dolbear, you're putting a major investment at the Walton. What's going on with the Greenwood school?
Right.
And I wonder if Colleen was able to kind of channel that and say, bring a Greenwood person. Now, do we have the selectmen and gas and light commissioner numbers? I assume we do. No?
We got selectmen up there.
Oh, selectmen.
Yeah, and this is 4.
Wow, this is going to be close.
Yeah.
So Julie Smith Galvan, another Greenwood resident, right?
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
So she cleans up in her home district, which
Yeah.
she should. Paul comes in second, Deb Butler in third, Brian in fourth. That's I mean,
Right.
this is all very close and it's still very preliminary.
So Guida and Smith Galvan
Yeah, Guida
got
and
almost
Smith
the exact
Galvan.
same number of votes.
Exactly. I'll tell you, this might end up being very tight for that second place seat. You might see Paul, Deb, and Brian
Absolutely.
coming very, very close. The question is, can you go back to the school committee numbers real quick? Deb Butler got 172. So 132, 122, 215. So yeah, so you know that idea, that theory that there would be some sort of box. Oh, stay in the box. Sorry, they're telling me to stay in the box. They have a box out here that I'm supposed to. I'm Italian. I move. All right. This camera is wireless. Watch. I'm gonna screw with them. So what you got to do here is, I thought there might be a bump, but there really isn't. I mean, the numbers are all over the place. So it looks like Paul and Brian don't have to worry about what I had to say. Now watch this again. David Watts is gonna kill me. But so we'll see. What do you guys think?
Wow.
Ann, what do you think? This is your board.
Yeah.
Well, soon to be your
back
council.
you. Throw the selectmen.
Put the selectmen back
Yeah.
up.
We got numbers. We got numbers on the town council race. Sorry to interrupt here. The town council referendum in the 4th, which is the Greenwood, where they voted most blessed sacrament. I'm going to miss voting there. Not that I'm opposed to the one place, Betsy.
I love the one place,
Yeah,
Betsy.
Yes.
and I think it
Most
should be
of us do.
Saturday, but we'll get to that.
Yeah,
I agree. I
a lot of us
completely
do.
agree.
Yeah.
A lot of us do too.
Town council, yes, 283. Town council, no, 155.
Okay,
Good.
that's 4.
So
Good.
yeah, that's a hefty lead. That'll be interesting to see if that. Yeah.
So this is, I mean, it's interesting. Just the sheer number that Julie got, I am expecting might take her.
They told me to go back to the
Okay,
desk.
so come
Okay.
over close.
Yeah, come on
So
over.
that might sustain her if she got that many votes in
Yeah.
precinct 4. But it's tough. I mean, I sit with Brian and Paul, who have done a great job, and frankly, I think our town's in very good shape because of the work that Paul and Brian have done. New blood is good. So it's going to be interesting.
No, it is. I don't think
Change is good.
exactly.
This is one precinct.
One precinct, right.
And I think also, I think Greenwood's a younger precinct. You know what I mean?
true.
I think there's younger families. I live down there, and no, it is. But down, yeah, I don't know why. It just seems like a younger area of town. Homes are the type that families' first homes and that sort of thing. So this will be interesting to see.
Do we have the
something.
Gas and Light Commission numbers?
No, I don't think we have. Well, that's all I have here is these 2 races so far. They'll be throwing them out there. We do. All right, town council. Quite a bit of discussion in the letters in the
Yes.
item
That I read none of.
about this. You read them
No.
Okay.
Because that's a tough.
because you were going to scream.
Yes, because I was going to do a primal scream on some letters. I chose not to read them. Yeah, I think, but I did read some, and I think there was an aura cast on why some of us wanted the change. And frankly, the change first came from Steve Mayo. He was the first person to suggest it to me several months ago, so it wasn't the screaming feminists on the board that marched on Town Hall to have it changed.
It was the sometime progressive Steve Mayo.
Yes. I would say always progressive. But
Yeah, I
yes.
agree. I think he's.
I know.
But I
he likes
think-
he's Switzerland though. He stays.
I
He
think-
stays
Well,
in the
that's his
middle.
job. He's a manager.
Right.
Yeah, well, I understand.
I think it makes to me, it was a no-brainer. When I've said that before, things have gone down in flames, like the garage and all of that. So I was surprised at the pushback.
I can't imagine. I know we're trying to stay neutral. I mean, if the polls are closed, who cares?
Polls are closed.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
So how can you be opposed to such a simple switch? I know. I mean, like if this is. I'm sorry. What kind of nice life, first world problems must you have if you wake up in the morning and you're like, listen, I'm so angry at the idea that they're going to switch the name of selectmen to town council.
I understand tradition. I mean, Mark Sodella's opening line tonight is the last. This is the last election or 347 whatever years of the Board of Selectmen. So there is something nostalgic. There's something, it does end that, but it's the same institution.
Right.
It's the same institution.
I'm sorry, but is there, I use this to get my conservative friends going, and I'll say it tonight, there is a group or a strand of conservatism that is so sensitive about traditions that aren't real. And I'm going to pick on the idea of selectmen. when I think of Wakefield and you think of the traditions, everything from the old shoe factories to the immigration culture to even those wooden planes that were built and people love built in Wakefield, nobody ever has thought of Wakefield and thought, selectmen, that's there. Nobody's ever thought of that. You think of that as an issue if you are bored and have nothing else to worry about.
I still understand.
But
I understand holding on to the tradition.
I do.
But it's outweighed by
Right.
the earth has been spinning on its axis. We no longer drag our knuckles. We now move along.
it's
And little things help us evolve.
It's interesting from a generational.
We're watching the Celtics game on the iPhone now.
Right.
Yes, and they're winning. And so,
But from a generational standpoint, it's funny.
You can't have that. You need a rotary phone.
I know.
Stick with the
Right.
rotary phone. Same kind of
My
thing.
daughter and son, 15 and 17, my daughter was a little more engaged. She of course supported the change, but both of them, even my son, who cares about Fortnite right now and
that's a
not much
great
else.
game.
Yeah, apparently
Wonderful
it is.
game.
Apparently it is. But anyways, he was like, "What's the big deal?" So it was interesting to hear from a very traditional 17-year-old boy. Why would they be opposed to the change?
no, it's
So
I just don't understand it. I mean, I will also say there was some serious disappointment on my part at Mark Sardella for one reason. And Mark, if you're watching, I want you to know this. You had a column coming out on April 20th. The biggest issue you are passionate about, or seems to be passionate about, is the legalization of marijuana. It's 420. You gotta write that column about marijuana. There's no way he couldn't. And he picked the Selectman. I was so upset. I literally was waiting on Thursday morning to get the item to read what you have to say.
Because 420 is Marijuana Day, which comes from the guys at high school called the Waldos, whose brother worked for the Grateful Dead.
I am shocked you know this.
Oh, you're shocked I know this. And what happened was the signal used to be they'd meet out by the wall at 420, and they were the Waldos.
Oh.
Now,
And their brother, it's in San Rafael, where the Dead's first recording studio was when they moved out of San Francisco. And that's how the Dead got to know about the 420s, and that's how it became legendary. Yeah, I just heard that.
now when are you opening the dispensary?
Let me ask you something else. I want to stay on this town council thing because
Yep.
I am fully in favor of it, but I understand trying to not be so tribal as we are about everything from the national level
I think we got
to the
something.
local level. I just want to finish this up. I'm wondering if some of the backlash or anger, if you will, about this is that the selectmen had referendums on gun control. They also had referendums on other social issues.
Just last week.
And but I'm wondering, people are like, whoa, hold on a minute. You
I
know what
think
I
that
mean?
was part of it.
I mean, I belong to the Mass Moderators Association, and we have a website.
That's not real. That's not real.
Oh, it is such a 2-day bash you can't believe. And I've got stories off air. And Amherst always has. Their biggest fights are about, issues you can't, just ridiculous stuff that has nothing to do with the town of Amherst. And they go at it for days.
As somebody who's done a lot of political work in Saugus, I mean, you look at Saugus compared to Wakefield, we're so lucky that these are the issues we're dealing with.
Okay,
I mean,
what do we
it was
got
good.
here?
Is this gas and light?
Is this the Masonic or is this Most Blessed Sacrament? I can't tell. Yeah, I got the Blessed Sacrament votes down here. Yeah, they got them under number 4. Okay, still precinct 4, thank you. Okay, here's what we got. You're gonna throw these up on screen for the gas and light?
Am I walking over? Or? No.
Okay, here we go.
Sorry.
In the Board of Health, Laurel Gorville
It's a big one.
is 324, and Bordia is 94. So that's out of the Blessed Sacrament. That looks like that might carry over in every district. With the municipal gas and light, Chase 215, Brooks 61, Calais 300.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wayne Tar 195.
Well,
So this is in
So
Greenwood.
300.
Yeah, 300 votes.
two things. One thing Robert Brooks did, by the way, that I've never seen any campaign ever do. He endorsed Jennifer Calais in his letter. Did you read that in the item?
No.
No.
At the end of his letter, he goes, he asked for a vote for Jennifer Calais. I'm not kidding. I'm not that was in there, and I thought that was incredible.
Wow, these numbers, oh, look at these.
Yeah.
And
Look
then-
at this.
And so
yeah.
Calais' number is similar to Julie's and
yeah.
Guardia.
Look at that smile
and
on your
Calais-
face.
she's
Yeah.
Well, Calais is just
No.
so qualified, but she
She
ran
is.
the same type of campaign
Exactly.
that certainly Julie Smith-Galvan did.
Exactly.
Knocked on doors, a lot of social media. So
What
I
a-
think
and
that
by the
was
way, what an
interesting.
impressive background. Jennifer Kelly, when you read that resume,
Oh, yeah.
oh my God. I wonder too if this goes back to that new energy discussion we were having, because Bill, I'll tell you, you know,
Oh, I think it is.
I love, you know, I've known the Tarr family for a while. You know, my sister graduated with Wayne Tarr. So this isn't a shot against him. This is nothing negative against him. But I could not imagine many years ago somebody like a Wayne Tarr coming in third place to somebody like a Jennifer Calais.
Yeah.
And I think that
So
just
it's the
speaks
year of
to
the
the
woman.
new. Yeah.
It's
Well,
the
no,
year
I
of
think
the
it's
woman.
new people. I think
Yeah.
there's a new
I
generation
think
of
we can-
Wakefield
I
families.
think we can say we see this on the national level.
Yep.
Yep.
Women running for office.
And
There's an energy,
Right.
and it's undeniable.
and qualified and
Yeah.
energized and
So,
organized
Bill,
women.
Right.
Can I ask you a question about a totally different race? And I would
Sure.
love your opinion.
Sure.
Is that speaking of it being the year of the women, it looks like in Melrose we're going to have a mayoral race. That means
Right.
and the theory is Paul Broder is going to run. I don't
Right.
think I'm saying any breaking news here that he's probably going to end up running for that seat. That means the state rep seat will be open. One of the selectwomen, Ann Santos, lives in his district. Former prosecutor, law school professor. I think she'd be a great candidate. What do you think?
She's now a dean.
She's now a dean. Dean.
Are you announcing your candidacy
No,
right here?
I'm in.
Okay,
All right.
this was not.
Yeah, this is not discussed at all, by the way.
This
Why
was
we
not
She's embarrassed to
discussed
the
at
hilt
all.
right now.
No,
yeah.
hey, but hear me roar, baby.
I'm totally in for that, right?
Yeah.
This is it.
That was your gotcha moment, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it
I
was.
she announced right now.
Let's go back to this. Well, Guervil's done a great
Interesting.
job. She
Absolutely.
really has.
Absolutely.
She's a great person. She's really.
She's done a wonderful job,
yeah,
and the
really
Board of
good
Health has
job.
stepped up
Yeah.
tremendously.
Right. I don't doubt that Guardia is qualified. And she ran a campaign. Guardia did. You know, I mean, at least from the lawn signs and the stuff that was there, and she had some letters of endorsement came in and that kind of thing. But wow, municipal gas and light. We've only got one precinct. This is going to be great.
I know, this is
You
actually.
guys got any more numbers for us?
Probably not. Do you guys just want me to talk?
Has that been a problem so far?
No. Actually, so I do think this is going to be really interesting. I'm using, again, you look at guys, Wayne and Brian, again,
Right.
this is all off one precinct. But these, again, 10 to 10 years ago,
Right.
were household names in that mantra of wait your turn.
Yeah.
And Brian was the guy who waited his turn. How
Absolutely.
many years did you hear Brian should run? He's like, no, I'm going to wait, I'm
Right.
going to wait. And
Right.
then he did. And now I just think that there's turnover. Even myself and my wife, we bought a house in Wakefield from two great people who had raised their family in Wakefield, decided to retire, wanted to downsize, and move to New Hampshire. And now we're new voters. And we
Right.
don't, I mean, it's a little bit different with me, but if you
Yeah.
think of our neighbors and
Oh,
whatnot,
sure.
they don't know.
The connection.
Yeah, they don't know Wayne Tarr was a former selectman. They don't know what Brian. How many voters I talked to didn't know what Brightby was because they weren't in town 4 years
wow.
ago. And you know, for people on the inside are like,
Right.
Brightby, that was a huge issue. But I want to thank my friends at Salem 5 Bank who just sent me a text. Hey, you're looking great on Wakefield Access TV. Your hair is on point. So thank you.
Any more numbers? Okay, they're putting in numbers right
Okay.
now.
All right.
Yeah, okay. Be another minute over there. Yeah.
Oh wait, no.
All right.
Hey,
So,
actually, so while they're looking at their phones,
it is all by precinct. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it's going to be all the precincts.
it's gonna be all. Oh,
Yeah,
all right.
we
So
got,
we're
we
all-
got our numbers now.
All the precincts. Okay.
Unofficial numbers.
Oh,
Right.
very good. This is so exciting.
Which are from Betsy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Unofficial
from
numbers.
Betsy. How you guys think our town clerk's doing?
Yeah. Oh, she's doing a great
Fabulous.
job. Yeah.
I love the one area voting, and I think weekend voting should happen.
I not only think one area, I think Saturday.
No,
And
Yeah.
here's the other thing, too.
No, I agree.
Here's the other thing, too.
We've talked about that.
Is the argument that it's the weekend, I might be away. Here's my theory. Everybody knows what they're going to do on Saturday and Sunday. Nobody knows what they're doing next Tuesday. You know, so if you have to work late, or you had to
Right.
drive your kid to school early, or you weren't going to be able to get home in time to vote,
Yeah.
or you just forgot because it's
Right.
Tuesday,
Right.
you can always get an absentee ballot. You know, you can make a plan. In other words,
You know, you could make a plan. You can't answer that.
I know,
You
I'm
would make
thinking.
a plan to get your absentee ballot. I think Saturday at one place
walking, by the way.
would be fantastic. I think it would be fantastic.
Well, they say, I mean, the statistics show that one polling place has more people will come to vote and get an absentee ballot.
Well,
like you're
the
right.
philosophy too comes.
You're over to the board, Chief.
I'm over to
All
the
right.
board.
We got
Woo,
numbers.
here
We
we
got
go.
the
Go to
unofficial,
TV.
all of the
Hey,
numbers
I'm
coming
walking
in.
over there later and introduce the camera to everybody behind it. So, all right, let's see the
He
board.
just texted me.
Wow, here we go. So our newest school committee members, these are all the precincts, right?
I can't see. Yeah, but
Just
you have to stay in the box.
Yeah,
You have to stay in the box.
All right, it is Colleen Guida and Amy Purcell, followed by
Wow.
Bob Vincent and Susie Veilleux, and then Mr. Horn with 40 votes. You know, here's the thing, Colleen Guida, Amy Purcell, longest, probably lived in Wakefield the longest out of everybody here. Probably the most involved in different groups for the longest periods of time. I think that's what speaks. Bob and Susie ran incredible campaigns. They should have absolutely nothing to be upset
No.
about. And these are impressive numbers. 2 years ago, or even a year ago, those were numbers that won. So
Absolutely, you're right.
I think Colleen Guida, just an incredible candidate. I think people knew her coming out was probably the favorite to top the ticket, and she did. Amy came in a little late, but again, grew up in Wakefield, family in Wakefield, husband's a local firefighter. Not surprised at, not surprised that these are the results. But again, kudos to Bob and Susie. I hope they stay involved. These are very impressive numbers.
Yep.
Those are precinct numbers?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Wow, look at it. This is a close race. It looks like congrats to Julie Smith-Galvan
Absolutely.
and Paul Donaco. Julie coming in with a mandate at 2,100 votes.
Outstanding.
Paul Donaco in with about 50, but Paul, Deb, and Brian, I hate to say second, third, fourth when the numbers are this
Right.
close,
Right.
because that is such a small margin. They should be very, very proud. And this tells me, it goes back to the point we all had, that people were torn because there were so many good candidates.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right,
Because
absolutely.
nobody
No one got crushed.
Nobody
no one,
got crushed.
Right.
Nobody. There was no rejection of the status quo. There was no. Nobody. It's just new energy, new families, new
Right.
parents. They don't know about Brightview. They don't know about the holiday strolls. They don't know about those events. They just came in and they said, "What an impressive campaign, impressive resume," and I think, Paul, Deb, and Fally. That is a very close race.
That's
but congrats.
those are close numbers.
Yeah,
Look at that.
congrats to. It looks like congrats to Julie Smith-Galvan and
Absolutely.
and Paul Donaco on the new. Can I say town council? Do we have those numbers?
No, not yet. No.
My prediction is,
Yeah.
based on how the voting went, it will be town council.
You're out.
Yeah.
There's
Today.
no. I would be shocked if you have Deb Butler, Colleen Guida, and Amy Purcell topping the tickets.
Right.
That you don't see town council.
Yeah,
pass.
right. I think, yeah.
And Julie.
But still, the number, the only precinct we have in the town council is Greenwood, and as we say, that skews a little younger. And
As Greenwood goes, the town goes?
yeah, I guess so. Well, as a Greenwoodian,
Now, as a Greenwoodian.
yes, yes.
So what is
Wow.
So do they have those numbers or I don't
No,
want
not yet. Wow.
Can I-
Wow.
So it's, I'm a little bit sad because Brian, I think, is an outstanding member of the Board of Selectmen / Town Council. As Paul has been, I think Julie will be an unbelievable addition to our board. So to your point, Anthony, they're great candidates.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's not, and what you said, in the past, and I've been here virtually, certainly my whole adult life,
Right.
that there were some candidates you were holding your breath.
Yeah.
And then they got elected, and you thought, "Oh, wow,
Yeah.
that'll be a long 3 years."
Yeah, exactly. So.
But not with any of
that is-
these.
That one? And I got a sign that said "Stay in the box." I thought they wanted me back there.
Yeah.
So I assume that means numbers are coming. But Bill, I'm curious your thoughts here, because now you have Julie Smith-Galvan's from Greenwood. You have Colleen Guida from Greenwood.
Taking over the
You have quite a bit of Greenwood contingent. Oh, now they're telling me to go back to the desk.
Right.
But one of the questions I had for you is, what do you think the plans for the Greenwood School are, and what should they be?
We're thinking of seceding.
Well, we want,
secession has been that's I think that's where we're going.
and you
know?
will retain the name Board of Selectmen in your new town.
No, I bet you the vote. No, look at the votes out of that
Right.
one precinct, 283, 155. So yeah, this is going to be interesting. Now the only thing I think the only one really that looks like we may have to worry about, or not worry about, but find, see where it's going to go is the gas and light.
Which you have to guess Jennifer Calais, most likely.
Well, I would say, yeah, if she's 300 out of Greenwood, that's a big number. Second place is interesting. It's a 20 vote difference between Wayne and Chase out of Greenwood. So, that's not Wayne's section of town either. But you're right. How many people? I think it's a new voting demographic. It has to be.
Get surprised. So I used to get surprised back when I first started running, how many people would think, for example, even when I was on the school committee, how many people thought Dr. Mayo was still superintendent, right?
Right.
Now it's almost changed completely, where I meet people who have no idea who Joan Landers was, because they have all come in. And I think that speaks to, and we see this a lot at the Boys and Girls Clubs of America as we do our charting and our planning on how many members we're going to have, what next set of social issues are. Right. Wakefield and Stoneham and Reading and all the North Shore communities are getting much younger, much faster. And it is just a generational change.
And it's an interesting young population that comes in. So we do the Wakefield 101, the Board of Selectmen, and the young couples that have come in, I was so impressed last time with how that they were almost all professional, that there was such a diversity to them, which was so nice to see. They were so excited to be in Wakefield, fell in love with the town. And I don't know that we had seen that for a long time.
Agreed.
We'd seen a lot of young people with families move in.
No, I think you're absolutely right, and I think it's just a generational shift. You almost wait. And every town goes through it, arguably at different points, because this generation will now probably own their homes for 30 or 40 years. So there's a generation that skips, that maybe buys in Melrose or whatnot. So I think we're just seeing it happen now, and I think that's why you're seeing so many new people get elected. Again, I don't think it's an indictment on the past as much as it is you almost have to come in with you almost have to run like you're new no matter what.
It's that evolution thing.
Yeah.
It is.
And it's interesting because I don't think it's an indictment on the past, but I'm thinking myself, when someone hurls the townie name at me, I don't consider myself a townie, because when I was growing up, townie was something different. It was a different kind of Wakefieldian. So it's interesting, though, that you're viewed through that lens if you've been here a long time. I do think it's nice to have people with perspective. I'm glad that there are some folks that are going to stay on boards that have been around for a while, like Laurel, because I think that is important to have some sort of.
Well, I think the traditions are solid too. When you said the Currans and the people that, and I think that's what Mark's writing about. I mean, I got to tell you, I have loved Sardella's columns this spring. I just love the idea that people are. First of all, I think he writes well. I don't agree with him all the time. I will tell you, I have a great time doing the debates with him because he asks questions that are about Wakefield, and they're poignant. They're not too gotcha, and he does that. But I really love I like the fervor he's generated, one way or the other. I thought some of the letters were stupid. I thought some were insightful, but I really love that that he has. I just like the idea he's got it going. Sure. He's got things going. You know what I mean?
And he's a good writer, which is a bonus.
He is a good writer. He's a good writer, even if you disagree with the points. But don't forget, he's a longtime Wakefield guy, and I think he's, I don't think you want to have too much of the new. And it's a nice blend right now. But I will tell you, I agree with you. This is a newer wave this evening.
I completely agree. Yeah. And I think on a personal level, I agree. You
got numbers coming in?
I've tried to get Mark Sardella to do a TV show with me where we could debate, because we fall on the opposite side of the spectrum.
Anthony, you're back over for numbers. Here we go.
Genuinely like Mark. Right. But we're going to stop talking about Mark Sardella because we have some
Town
numbers.
Hall. All right.
Here we go. And we went through these numbers.
No, but these are official now. These are from Town Hall.
These are the official Town Hall numbers.
Couple changes. There you
So
go.
a few changes, but again, we can now confirm that Colleen Guida and Amy Purcell
What did you get? I can't see.
will be the
1166.
next two members of the Wakefield School Committee.
Wow.
A school committee that is going to be taking on some challenging issues, everything from budgets to a new high school, again, to what to do with the Greenwood, a population that's growing. And again, I know I've said this a lot of times, I think this is these type of numbers tell me, with the exception of Mr. Horn, but I don't think he campaigned, is I do think that people were torn. And if Bob and Susie are watching tonight, Bob, Susie, you should be very, very proud.
Right.
Please stay involved. Wakefield could do very well with you, both of you in office, or either of you in office. So please keep going. And I would mention.
Yeah, I agree.
I would
agree.
mention
I
too-
want to second that.
Thank you.
Those were both impressive candidates.
Absolutely.
I know from the debate, from the way they campaigned, and nothing to be ashamed of. Those are close numbers, and well, not that you're ashamed. Anybody who runs for office should never be ashamed. But all right, now you got the selectmen. Wow.
And yeah, and by the way, just one quick aside: Greg Liakos and Maureen Butt are two candidates who lost in big ways the first time they ran, and now are elected. These are the selectmen, and again, Julie Smith Galvan, Paul Donaco. That's a nail biter
David,
right there.
got anybody from got anybody here?
You know,
Anybody from here?
but again, Julie Smith Galvan comes in.
These are
I wonder if this is a mandate to a certain extent on some of the issues, because she brought in a sustainable argument,
That's
and
it,
she
these
brought,
are
even
yours.
when she started running, she said, I want to make Wakefield greener. I want to invest in new energy. I want to do a few different things we haven't tried before. I think with those numbers, that speaks
You know
to
what?
it.
I wondered how that was going to play.
It played well.
When I apparently, but when I read her campaign, or when I read her campaign literature and her letters, and even when I met her, I thought, whoa, wait a minute. Maybe that's one step too far. That's going to make you look too progressive for the general public. That didn't work. No, it
No.
played well.
I-
It played well.
I'd also,
you know?
I'd like to think that
I mean, I like it, but
our
I'm
voters in
thinking-
Wakefield can sense someone who's intelligent and thoughtful.
Absolutely.
And Julie just exudes that when she talks. And you want, I don't necessarily have to agree with my colleagues, but if they're intelligent and they are engaged, at least I know that they're going to give an issue some thought, and they're not just going to be, a one-trick pony.
I completely agree, and I think it's same with the Board of Selectmen, I assume soon to be called the Town Council.
I think so. I think yes.
Can we announce it?
Well, yeah. What do we got here? Where's the town council? Where's that? The last
I
one?
believe it's
It's at the end here. Question. Yeah. Okay. The ballot question. Yes, 1,936 for 61.6%. No, 1,204 for 38%. So you are now a town councilor.
excellent.
Yeah.
Can I
Okay.
mention-
Let me.
Oh,
let me
sorry,
just-
yeah, you
let's
wanna do
run
gas
on-
and
let's
light?
run- Hold on. Yeah, let's do gas and light. So, gas and light. Kenneth Chase, 1,587, 29.2%. Robert Brooks, 435, 8%. Jennifer Kelly, 2,041
Wow.
for 37%. And Wayne Tarr, 1,356 for 25%. So it's Chase and Kelly in the Gas and Light Commissioner. That's
This-
an interesting.
Can I add one more race?
Okay.
I just don't, I want to make sure we hit this up. Is Kathleen Kelly got 2,546 votes, beating town moderator Bill
Yes.
Carroll, 2,393
The last
votes.
time I lost.
Congratulations, Kathleen.
Yeah, thank you very much. You owe me a martini, which I have yet to collect from the last time I lost to Selectman Santos.
Right.
She beat me last
Counselor.
time. That's it. I think I did collect that somewhere along the
Yeah,
line.
I'm guessing you
Perhaps I
did.
collected a martini from her somewhere along the line. I would like to point out that there are 40 write-in votes under the moderator, and I will guarantee you 15 of those are Jerry Garcia. I don't know why. But the first time I think the second or third time I ran, who was still, what was her name? Before Mary Galvan. And I came down and I said, gee, she goes, let me ask you,
do you know this other guy in town, Jerry Garcia? It's like, oh my God, my friends wrote in, Jerry Garcia. Amy, come on in, you won. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Amy.
Amy Purcell, be careful, this is a very dangerous chair.
Yeah.
Let's check.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, if you want to sue
Thank
WCAT, I know 3 lawyers.
Yeah. Well, congratulations.
Thank you so
How'd it
Congrats,
go?
Amy.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm thrilled. I am losing my voice. A little sickness, so I'm going to do my best actually to communicate to you guys this evening. So, thank you.
So were you surprised?
Yes, I was. I mean, it was a hard-fought
Sure.
race, and you know, I'd like to congratulate all the candidates for a great race. Everybody just had so much respect for one another, which I really,
Which is great.
you know, yeah.
Yeah, that was
That is nice.
That was clear.
It was
Yeah.
absolutely. That made it much easier for all of us. You know,
Right.
so I really want to appreciate. I appreciate.
So that's an even more impressive win when you beat impressive other qualified candidates. You know? So
Absolutely.
you didn't
Right.
Yeah.
you didn't knock off a couple. You know, some people are like, I'm not voting for
Yeah,
them.
absolutely.
No, quite frankly, and we've got to keep those other 2 folks involved and on board. But back to you. This
Absolutely.
is your how to go. So my question always was, weirdest door you knocked on? Come on. Oh, come on. Weirdest door you knocked on when you knocked on doors? Come on.
No
you gotta tell us.
doors.
You didn't knock on doors?
No.
How did you do this? Wow. What do you got?
I did made lots of phone calls.
Okay, the weirdest phone call you made.
Yeah, hang-ups. Just
Yeah.
kind of like, who are you? I'm not interested, and hang up on me. So it was kind of like, all right, let me just make another call. Everybody usually was overall very nice.
Yeah.
So, and you know, we made the phone calls short and sweet, so they didn't have enough time to actually hang up.
Yeah.
What's the biggest issue you're thinking about?
For a school committee,
Yeah.
special education is my
Okay.
platform. Absolutely.
Okay.
I really feel like the system is broken, and some changes need to be made. And no pun intended, I want to be the voice for parents, even though I don't have one. But that really is what I want to do. I want to allow people to come to me with any issues, and we can, you know, just communicate as a community to try and help the students.
I'm just curious, so I'll tell you, special education is such a tough issue. And first things first, congrats.
Thank you.
Great win.
Thank you.
What are some examples? What do you think we can change? What do you think we can change, or what is going to be one of the first things you try to do after you swear in?
Well, I actually spoke at the public budget hearing on March 27th, and really.
I feel bad for asking you a question now, by the way. as you
No,
talk.
it's fine. I'll do my best. Just bear with me. A lot of kids with language-based learning disabilities are sent out of district, and my daughter was one of them. So for me, she was out of district. She came back, and we were able to give her some amazing services within the district for a fraction of the cost. And so I know what it's like to be out of district. I know what it does to the family. And I also know that with proper services within the district, the child can make progress. And it worked, and it saved the town hundreds of thousands of dollars.
That's incredible.
So I would love to be able to maybe bring some teachers, qualified, experienced, highly trained, into the district to help these kids, so nobody really has to leave. We're for language-based learning disabilities. I mean,
Because
that would
obviously
be.
some students have to go out of
Yes,
district because we
absolutely,
can't.
of course.
Medical and certain mental health issues.
Absolutely, yes. But for the language base, in my opinion, it's the easiest fix because my daughter experienced it last year in 7th grade, and she made phenomenal progress, and it was wonderful, and she was home.
And congrats to her. That's awesome.
Yeah, she's doing great.
I think you're part of
got
that new wave. I know I've said this now three years now running. All new people.
Yeah.
All new people, with the exception of except for 2, Ken Chase and Paul. Do you think, we were talking about this for most of the night, do you think Wakefield's changing, and do you think you're part of that?
Definitely time for
part
a
of that
change.
new one?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like it's time for a change. We've got a new superintendent coming in who I'm looking forward to really working with. Doug Lyons is amazing, and the new principal at the high school. So, you know, now with all these new candidates coming in, I just think it's time for a change, and I'm looking forward to being a part of it. I really am, to help the children and families.
Awesome. I have
great.
one last question, unless you guys have
No, you go ahead.
questions. Were they giving out I voted today stickers?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. I went to vote and I did not get one.
Neither did I.
Well, I
and-
mean, I had a connection. I don't know, someone was kind of not at the poll outside while we were holding signs.
Well, if,
I got my hands on one, so
so
yes.
Betsy, if you,
Very proud of that.
If you want us to move to one place, you better have stickers, all right?
That's true.
Okay, enough about you now. Okay, hey, thanks a lot. Thank you
Thank
for coming
you,
down and
Amy.
congratulations,
Thank
okay?
you.
Oh,
Yeah.
congratulations, Amy.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Nice
I'll
job.
come around. Look
Okay,
around.
thank you.
Yeah, he's
Thanks a
moving
lot,
all
guys.
over. He's
Thank you.
Steve
Thank you very
Kornacki.
much. Thank you. Hi, thank
Yeah.
Take care.
Oh, I know she's the Board of Health, okay? This woman picked me up off the street one time.
After it
That's
was,
a
what
true
was it?
story.
Was it like 423?
And it wasn't from drinking, it was from riding my bike. Correct, yeah. I had first met Laurel at a fundraiser, and she didn't get my act right away. I remember she would either ask you or somebody else, like, that guy really gets elected? Yeah, I really get elected, right. And then I was riding my bike one time. I was riding down to run in the Columbus Day, some 5K around the lake, and my seat snapped off. I was a mess. And who did I have? A nurse who was also on the Board of Health right there. Hey, congratulations.
Yeah, service, thank you. I think you got more votes than me, but
I'm
you know,
sorry I
you
got your
tried.
name. It came through. Look, see, here's my, this was my, and actually I know your name, but it was funny. But sample went right through your name.
That's my name.
So, hey, let me get the final numbers here. We didn't announce
Okay.
these yet. Yeah, where is Board of Health? Board of Health
Second
on
page.
here. Oh, well, thank you. Look, she's taking charge already. She's here.
Oh,
Yeah, so, you got 68%.
Decisive.
Yeah,
Decisive.
2,035 and 68%. And Borda was 913. But as we were talking about earlier, practicing nurse and an MD. What more could you ask for as candidates in a Board of Health, you know? So,
Yeah.
anyway, and you had to run this time.
I did.
Yeah.
It was
because
a
normally
challenge.
you don't have to run.
Well,
Yeah.
I ran super hard the first time.
Right.
Super hard. And, you know,
Right.
we've done a lot of great work
Right.
together in the Board of Health. We've had a lot of progress. I think we've had some visibility, especially with Wake Up and
Oh,
that sort of thing.
100%.
So I think, though our meetings are rarely covered, it's kind of, you know, we actually get a lot done. And I think, you know, what I've been trying to stress is that Wake Up is part of the Board of Health. I don't think people understand that all the time, because it's kind of an entity to itself,
Right.
but it's
Yeah.
the thing that we're really the most proud of. That's where I was just before
Absolutely.
it came.
Yeah,
It's
you
been
guys have
really
raised
exciting.
the visibility clearly, you know. And the idea that it gets stuff done.
We do get
Yeah.
stuff
You get
done.
stuff
It's
done.
nice. We have a
It's been-
professional board. We have
Yeah. That's
right.
a public health nurse, myself, I do community health, and a lawyer who works for DPH. So,
Right.
you know,
That's a great
so
board.
it's a nice
a great
board. I
board.
mean, if we had a 5-member board, I'd you know, ask someone who knows something about the environment on, you know,
Right.
and someone who knows something about septic systems. But we don't have very many septic systems. So, you know, you know, if you think about where we were 10 years ago, Ann was there.
I was there. I was
And,
watching it.
You know, Wakefield.
It's amazing.
Wakefield wasn't showing up to a lot of regional stuff, and now we are regional leaders. So I'm very
Right.
excited about the work we do and the work we're going to do.
And I think at some
be.
point,
Oh, sorry.
you were, I always think the Board of Health was just considered a problem to like businesses or people. You were sort of always something to be feared. And now it's become more of a respected, taking on issues that we need to know about.
Well, we made it professional.
Yeah, right,
Bringing
yeah.
Ruth on was
Yeah,
one of the
Ruth
best
Clay-
things that
Ruth Clay
occurred.
has an amazing
Right.
ability to write good grants, and she hires good people. And in just even the combination with Melrose, so that was something new 9 years ago. I found out about it 2 days after I got elected, and I went, oh, that's going to be interesting. And what's good about that, I think, is that when you're in your own town, you don't. You know, you're not always comparing yourself, and so we immediately saw what the model Melrose was doing under Ruth's direction, and in fact, the whole drug-free community grant Melrose had, and I had pushed Ruth to see if we could share in that a little bit, and you actually can't do that so much because it was definitely written for only that town, but we were able to use their model,
And
create a
write another one. That's
create a grassroots group who was really involved, and then we really became quite competitive in getting that.
What issue, cause, or concern are you looking to advance? Something new.
Something new that we haven't done yet, but I would like to see is we have municipalities that have emergency response teams. So Ann and I took the FEMA training, which is
right.
just and actually I feel like the selectmen should do it. So just a little self-training,
Oh, the
really
council.
easy. FEMA, and we have a new emergency director now, Tom, but just to understand how emergencies happen. So in a town, if there's a fire, Board of Health may be secondary in helping with shelter, for instance, or we may be secondary. But let's say we get yet a new kind of flu, which was the big thing 9 years ago, and we need to set up an emergency dispensary. We're the primary folks, and I don't think people understand that Board of Health is part of the emergency plan in town. And what I'd like to do is be a little bit more robust about recruiting volunteer professionals and nurses. And
Gotcha.
we haven't done an active volunteer thing, so I think that's the only thing left on the list. I think we really,
Oh,
and then the other
nice.
piece is really just to fund and make sure that because we're kind of at the end of some grants, so
Keep it going.
we have to keep it going.
Yeah.
And we may have to find the funds another way.
To sustain the
Yeah.
progress. Okay.
Yeah. we'll
All
keep
right,
nice.
we're going to wrap this one up.
All
hey,
right.
hey,
Take good care.
congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thanks,
you're running
everyone.
it.
Take
That's
good
interesting,
care.
you know,
Thank
you're-
you.
Yeah.
I'm so
Yeah, I have
happy
to pull
for you,
the
Laurel.
slides out.
Oh, give me a hug. What are you doing?
Good luck with God for dollars.
I know.
I'm bringing my first aid kit.
You are Laurel's. Laurel's great, and again, poll's closed, so I'm very happy. And again, another awesome board.
Yeah,
Great
that
board.
is a great board. Come on over. Wow.
Hey,
Colleen.
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 Yeah.
Hey, I don't know if you know you won.
Congratulations.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah.
Crushed it.
Yeah, here, you gotta be careful.
Okay.
You gotta, these are, come on up.
I
You
haven't
gotta
been
get
in a
closer.
director's chair in a
All right.
few years.
Yeah, and you gotta make that there.
Okay.
Yeah, you still have your
Second.
campaign button. You won. You can take that off now. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So, how
Thank you
was
for
it?
having us.
Well,
this is really cool.
This is yeah,
how
it is
did
cool.
it?
It is cool when
It's
you're winning
totally
on
cool.
TV, isn't it?
I would not have come if I lost, truthfully.
Yeah.
That's okay.
But
Yeah.
I'm really happy to be here. So.
Yeah.
Congrats, you kicked butt. How do you feel?
Good. You're still a little nervous, but
Sure.
it's really it's a lot of work, as you all know. And the people, my team, and the people have supported me. I think that's the most overwhelming feeling is the support that you don't really know is there until you put yourself into this position. So the well wishes, just motivation. So I'm really happy for the people that have supported me as well.
Great.
That.
When did you decide to do this and why? Like, were you sitting at your kitchen table? Were you at a PTO meeting?
Truthfully,
Yeah.
can
No,
I call
no,
names
lie to
out?
us.
Names?
Sure.
Yeah.
So this year, the question had popped up before in prior years, but this year I was at the Martin Luther King Jr. Celebration, and a couple of the former school committee and a current school committee member had, just said, would you be interested? And we'd love to see you. And so that sort of started me thinking about it currently, and then we talked about it a little bit more. They were very supportive in that, you've got a team behind you, and you don't do this alone. So it's always been a passion of mine, sort of my work leading up to this. So I think it's always been in the back of my head. I just didn't know when. I thought maybe when my kids got older, but I feel like I'm in it now.
Yeah.
My hands are dug in there, and I'm, in there every day going through this with them. And my work outside of my kids being in school is also, connected to this. So I feel like I've got the most.
I tried to plug your title business earlier, by the way. I don't know if you.
Did you really?
I did.
North Shore title.
North Shore title.
All your real
I
estate
said, like,
title
North
examination
Ave
needs.
title. I wasn't
You
sure.
are the second.
Thanks,
you are the
Anthony.
second-
York
you are the
Shore
second.
He's not my biggest client.
You are the second town official in your family,
Well, yeah, I
You
do
know.
know. Yes.
You
yes,
know that your
yes.
husband, Rob,
was
the
assistant moderator.
deputy moderator. We're not assistant. We have
Sorry.
deputies, for the
Did
big,
he have
the
a
night.
badge?
He was highly respected.
Assistant to the moderator.
He still talks
he's
about that
deputy
night.
moderator
He
that
still
night.
talks about that
Yeah,
night.
he thought he was going to die. He was so nervous. The night that we did the Galvan,
Yes, it was
we
the
had so
Galvan
many
vote,
people
yeah.
come the vote on the Galvan. We had so
He was
many
in the
people coming in.
cafeteria.
He was running the cafeteria. And he spent, our offices were near each other. He must have come over, I don't know, 3 times, 4 times. What do I do? Just don't worry, don't worry. And that was the first time we went back and forth on cell phones. So yeah,
It was a big night for him. He still talks about it.
Hey, did you knock on doors?
I didn't. I heard
I want
Amy's
somebody
answer.
to knock on doors because those are always great stories.
Julie knocked on doors.
Julie knocked
Yeah,
on doors. Okay.
Julie
All right.
did, and I know that my running mates, a couple of them did. So Bob was actually, we were his 1,000th door. It was, I'll have to say, this may be a question, but it's been such a treat to get to know the people that I've run against. Amy and I we've known each other since our kids were little, but I made 2 new friends, and Bob and Susie.
They're great candidates. All four
Yeah.
great candidates.
Yeah, you couldn't have gone. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and I respect them highly. We have different backgrounds, but we all have such passion, and it really was such an honor to run with people who have the passion and really wanted to do something for their community.
It really was great. All 4 candidates to school committee were just amazing.
They really
yeah.
And I think what was said
Yeah.
before, the first time Maureen ran, the first time, who else?
Greg Liakos.
Greg
Yeah.
Liakos.
Yep.
Didn't get on and then decisively won. So I
Yeah,
hope
gotta
those two
gotta
still
encourage those 2
stay
people.
engaged.
Absolutely,
I've been
I
part
hope
of
so.
the group that appoints the triumvirate that appoints the FimCon members, and whenever you'd have to make that difficult decision,
Right.
it was back like when I had to cut kids from the basketball team, but it was and you'd say, please. I remember I went and met Cusack. Down at Harrington's and just said, look, you didn't make it, but stick around.
Yeah.
Right.
6 years later, he was the chairman.
Right.
That's the kind of thing. So hopefully we encourage
And
those folks
we're
to
all,
stay.
this is our first run, so
Yeah.
we're just getting our names out there with that
Yeah.
connection. So it's so important that I know the passion's there. I would love to work with either of them if they decide
Yeah.
to run again. So I
Yeah.
hope so.
And it's a small town. I mean, we all know each other. This isn't like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can't go into hiding. You almost have to just keep plugging along. And it is. I know Bob Vincent kept telling me he had 1,000 doors, and
Yeah.
I think that worked
So
very well for
impressive.
him because
Yep.
who knew who Bob Vincent was
Yep.
before this race?
You have to have that thing, and we talked about that. And my background has put me in the place where I am, I think, and in my experience. So you have to figure that out. I wish that I did knock on doors. Honestly, it was more of a time thing with the kids and all, and they've already had to.
The only reason I ask is I love the weird stories. When
I
you
know,
knock
I
on
have
some door.
nothing.
It breaks up the policy of the school committee question. We're kicking you out of here now. They're backed up out there.
Congratulations.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Maureen thinks she's getting on TV. She didn't
This
even
is
run
so
this
fun.
time.
Are you sure you want to
Okay.
be on?
I had one more question, but it's all
You
right.
can stand over there with
Okay.
Anthony.
Yeah, come over. No, come over. Who cares?
Let me just
Hey,
do
I'm
this
so
before
happy.
we
What
bring
is that?
Julie
so happy
on.
for you.
The Board of Assessors, Jane DeDario won with 99% of the vote. We went to the Board of Health. Planning Board, Chris Foley won with 99% of the vote. Congratulations to him. All 3 library trustees, Kevin Scanlon, Cindy Schatz, and Amy Lemanik, all won. They all just clean clock. So congratulations to those people, and they didn't have to run, but they didn't have to campaign, but they did run. Congratulations, Miss Big Shot. How was that, huh? Well,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Miss Galvan.
Hey, yeah.
It has a nice
Actually,
ring to it,
you're
doesn't it?
the
Yeah.
first ever elected town councilor.
That's right.
yeah.
It's a huge honor.
Quit that FinCom for this.
I know.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I jump right in? 'Cause
No, how am I going to stop you anyway?
you couldn't.
Right, go
but
ahead.
no, hey, I had a question for Colleen and she left, but it's the same question I'll ask you. Again, 3rd year in a row. It's new people, new people, new people. And do you think that's part of a generational shift in Wakefield? And what do you plan to do? Do you feel you're a voice of that kind of new generation in Wakefield? And what do you plan to do to bring their plans forward or to move Wakefield forward?
Sure. Yeah, I do think I'm part of that, and I think I would not be here today if it weren't for Maureen and Ed winning last year. I mean, really, when I, for many years living here, thought it's really just kind of the old Wakefield, and you have to live here for a long time, and I have tremendous respect for the families that have lived here for generations, and they really form the fabric. But there's also kind of this new demographics moving in. I don't know whether it's generational as much as it is demographics, and we're close to Boston, and we have all these kind of amazing things in town and access to amazing things surrounding town. And so, yeah, I do think that I'm part of that, and hopefully we can kind of continue to have a balance between the two.
No, I agree. I think I love the direction it's going in. I'm very, very excited. And we were talking about your campaign literature.
Oh, wait, your campaign letter, your online stuff. You were running for Congress, right?
I don't know how anybody
You're going to send me an email tomorrow or something? Because I don't,
Oh,
really.
you'll probably get a thank you or two. It's probably already queued up.
Bolton, our congressman? congressman or is it Galvan Smith now? I don't know.
But it worked.
It's Julie Smith Galvan.
It
Julie
clearly
Smith.
works.
Oh,
You can answer to
yeah,
anything.
220, 221.
Hey, but you know
whatever
they
it
spelled your
takes.
name wrong, Bill? Did you see this?
Did they? Why?
Yeah.
Where'd they spell wrong?
Harbison?
No, that's my name.
That's his
No,
name.
Anthony, they didn't. My grandmother's spinning in
Oh.
her grave right now. Okay, we were talking about this earlier. You included an environmental element, not something you normally see in a selectman's race. And I thought, I said this earlier, I was wondering whether it might be a little too progressive, you know, a little too.
It was a little risky, probably.
But I think it worked. Ann thinks it worked, you know, and she knows. I don't know. They're whispering about something over here now, but I think that worked, and I just found that interesting.
Well, I also think, and I said to Anthony earlier, and Bill, I'm a big fan of smart, organized, thoughtful, engaged.
It's because she went to Brown.
Well, you know. But anyways, I think people see that. You want someone who
Agreed.
is going
Completely
to
agreed.
dive into issues, is going to follow the issues, is going to, and whether or not you agree, you know, Justice Scalia is opposite to me on everything politically, and what he wrote I disagreed with it, but brilliant mind, brilliant writer, I respect that. So, you know, on a smaller level, I think people can tell
I
that
agree.
you're going to work really
Completely
hard
agreed.
and follow the issues.
I think, you know, just to follow up on that, you know, Julie, me and you have had this conversation a few times, but I think the issues you brought up were issues that people in town were already talking about. And
Right.
I mean, again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but 10 years ago, would you have said a plastic bag would have passed town meeting? I think we could have got, and I think I told you my biggest
you said
regret
this,
is
yeah.
I wish I didn't do a complete ban. I think a complete ban would have easily passed town meeting. It's a majority vote, it would have went easily instead of the half measure. And I think you spoke to that. I mean, not that issue, but you spoke to a new generation of Wakefield residents who want to see somebody
Who doesn't want to
who's
see those
bright
hanging
and
in trees
progressive
and along the lake?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
we
we're
did the
talking
lake
about all
cleanup this
those-
week, you know, this
Right.
weekend. There's
I'm saying all the
there's
issues. I mean,
improvements to be made.
they just
Yeah.
see these. It's a town that's becoming more and more progressive, and I don't use that in the typical dichotomy. Just more open to new ideas, and more open to really moving forward. And I think you represent that. I thought you hit that perfectly on your campaign. So congrats.
When did you decide to do this?
I started thinking about it last fall, and I spent a lot of time talking to people about what they had been through, who were already in office, or who had been in office, or you know, had unsuccessfully
friend
run
on my
for
right here?
office. I spoke to some people at this table, yes.
But I thought it was great for you to say, you know, what did you do? What was it like? And this was several, you know, months before you actually pulled the papers. And so to do your homework, not just myself, but a lot of people, to find out, you know, I think part of your question was, can you do this? Of course you can do this, obviously.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think, you know, it takes a lot of organization. It takes a lot of time, and I really don't, it's tough to pull papers the last week or the last month, and I think really, at least the way I do things, at least the way I dive into things, I just would not have been comfortable doing it without that kind of planning and forethought. So.
No, well, congratulations. I think, again, I'm just, before we're talking, I think I was on my phone and I was actually, I don't mind admitting, I was texting a few people some of the results, because I gotta tell you, I am so impressed with the quality of candidates. I mean, your running mates as well. And the
I was just
people-
going to say, yeah,
and the
this is a
incumbents
just a conversation about
I'm
me.
gonna miss Falvey. Falvey's a smart guy,
So am I.
and has put a lot of time and effort in here. And
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
all the other, my opponents were smart and cared so much about
Absolutely.
Wakefield, and you know, made this campaign better and made me a better person. And the ones who aren't there, you know, they've done Falvey's done a lot for this town.
Out of all the opponents, who did you like the least? No, I'm kidding. No,
Love them all.
No,
Everybody brought something to this race. There's no
Deb
doubt.
Butler came out of nowhere.
Yeah, and look,
To
she
get
did great.
13-3-6. I mean, that's just.
She resonated with people.
Yeah.
She absolutely resonated with
Yeah.
people. She was out there listening and talking and going in front on issues, and I really respect her for that.
Yeah.
It's, God, I'm just so impressed. The quality of people running in Wakefield is just, it's so good.
Yeah.
Really?
So,
Yeah.
um,
Okay. Where's your party?
Fangs.
Really? Oh, cool. Okay.
You can walk home.
Yeah, I could. I could roll.
Wow.
Hey,
I'm so excited
Okay,
to
thank
serve
you.
with
Thank
you.
you
we
so
enjoyed
much.
it.
So,
Thanks.
Of course we are.
yes, of
Yeah, of
course.
course
Okay,
we are.
I'll make
Never
you come
invited.
down.
Well,
Yeah.
if you talked a little less, you might get invited. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you all so
Hey,
much.
by the Tom Stapleton just said,
Congratulations.
"Look who's talking." I don't know if you heard that in the back.
I just want to thank all the volunteers and everybody who
Anthony makes me look
voted for
succinct.
me too. So
Not hard.
Thank you.
Not easy.
All right.
All right, Julie.
I'm gonna move.
All right, thanks.
Talk to you soon.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to have Paul Donaco. Maureen just wants to be on TV.
Yes.
Oh, you want to talk about the name change?
Yes. Words
Paul,
matter.
come on out. Come on out. Yeah.
Then Marina.
Yeah, never mind. Oh my God.
still here.
You had to be nervous. I know you were nervous.
I won.
Congratulations. Yes, you did win.
Hey,
Yeah, you did.
congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations, but a
Thank you.
tight,
Yeah.
tight
Okay.
race.
Very,
Tight
very tight
race,
race.
huh?
Very tight race. Well, first of all, let me congratulate the #1 vote getter, Julie Smith-Galvan. She
Right.
did an outstanding job campaigning. She was door to door and making sure that her message got out, and she ended up with the most votes. So congratulations to Julie on an excellent campaign.
Yeah.
As to the rest of them, I know that each candidate did their best as to try to get as many votes as they could for themselves. So to Debbie and to Brian, you did a great job. There's always another opportunity. We'll see what happens. If they take out their names one more time for a future election, who knows? But right now we have to focus on the future.
What's the biggest issue facing Wakefield, Paul? 6 years. You're in for 9 years. What are you going to hit for the next 3?
Oh my goodness gracious. You know something? With me, my biggest issue is going to be the DPW bond. It needs work. So I'd like to see the DPW get concentrated on. I really would. We have the public safety building right now that has to go before the April 30th meeting, town meeting. That's a big issue too. So we need the support of the people to get the public safety building repaired and up and running. But after that, I think the DPW bond, anyone wants to take a visit down to North Ave, go in there. It needs some serious loving
Where is the DPW bond, guys?
right behind the Galvan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right now, there's a lot of discussion going on in there, but that's a big issue right now, as far as a selectman issue.
I did not know that. Yeah.
How's that sound?
Yeah, that sounds good. I had never even known about it.
Stinson's
so, yeah.
loving you at home right now.
I would have said drainage, because we haven't touched drainage in the 30 years I've been in Wakefield.
Yeah.
But that's a personal issue.
Yeah, but I was gonna say, but you live in a home that never gets flooded.
Oh, no,
Constantly
I
dry.
haven't been flooded in, since I moved here.
What's that look for, Bill?
Yeah.
No, look, keep going. I had some issues over there with some clients. Hey, how about paving Main Street? As long as we're going to talk about that.
Paving Main Street?
Yeah.
What part of Main Street would you like paved? We're in the-
Along the lake.
I'm not sure what the issue is.
As long as you're
Route
bringing up
one-
DPW issues, you
Route
know.
129.
Hey, Rick, how do you like that? I want that paved, all right?
Remember now, Main Street is Route 129. So we have a state issue that we would have to worry about with that, and I'm not sure how that would get done if we did it. But
Figure
we
that
are-
out. Figure that out, will you?
Well, we are with the downtown transformation project right now. We are thinking of redoing from at least the junction up to the head of the lake. Sorry, to the lower lake. So
You know,
the
my
Church
favorite part about you getting reelected is you're going to get to walk around before the Christmas stroll and make sure everything's set up and stuff. Twice I have come down about 11 o'clock in the morning, and there's Paul walking over, turning the lights on.
He hates me. I give him like big hugs and like annoy him while he's doing
there he
it.
goes.
Well,
yeah.
you know something, I don't do the lighting of the common. That is the neighborhood association that does the lighting
Right.
of the common. Street lights, that would be the MLD, so I don't
meant
have
the
much.
Christmas
The
lights.
Christmas lights, I don't have
I
anything to do with
saw
the
you
Christmas lights.
plugging them in one year. They were
No.
unplugged and you plugged them in. It's a true
Christmas
story.
lights,
Yeah,
no.
can't remember.
Look,
Christmas
you
lights
can
in
see,
my-
here's the difference between the incumbents and the new people. Everybody else comes in before Paul, and we're like, congratulations,
Yeah, right.
how you doing? This is a great woman you run. Paul, let's talk about potholes on Main Street.
Yeah.
The
Why
incumbent
aren't
comes
they-
in and the
it's
guns
Paul.
come out. That's
Oh,
okay.
it's Paul. Yeah.
Look, I want to thank.
weren't guns.
Look, I
Yeah,
want
go
to
ahead.
thank the 1,388 people that voted for me to get into office for my 4th term. So that to me is an honor and a privilege, because that's 4 terms as a selectman. I will be going into my 19th year as public servant. So I've been doing something correct? But it's the people that are supporting me that need to be thanked. So it's all those people who got out and went out and cast a vote for me, one of the 1388 that put me back in it. So now I am not only the longest in terms, but I am the oldest in age. So
Way old.
Way old.
Right.
Way old. Okay. Especially around you, Ann. I mean, what are you, 39? So
Exactly.
I'm very
to me, it's an honor. So it shows that I
Yeah, and you
have
had,
something
and you
still
had
to
the
offer.
campaign. This was tough.
It was a tough campaign.
Yeah, this was a
It
tough
was
one,
definitely
huh?
a tough campaign. I
Yeah.
knew that there was going to be a fight from the get-go, so I just made sure that I constantly put something out there and made myself aware. But I had the people supporting me. I had the campaign group that was, helping me along the way. So kudos to all of them.
Where's your party?
Public kitchen. I got the back room.
Public kitchen. All right.
Councilor Donaco, I do have one question.
Council,
Okay.
not counselor.
Oh, sorry.
Council.
Council Donaco.
Council.
Counselor.
Town council.
Town council.
Counselor.
We'll have another
We're
vote.
counselors.
See, if you're a
Counselors, okay.
on a council, you're a counselor.
Right.
Councilor, anyway.
Counselor on a
Yeah.
council.
Councilor Donaco, so one question I have for you. We were talking about this, about people having, staying involved because the crop of candidates were so good this year.
Yep.
So good, like they have for the past few years. What would you tell as somebody who, originally lost their first election?
Yep.
What would you tell some of the candidates who maybe didn't make it to get back involved? How would you encourage them?
Don't give up. I lost my first
Yeah.
shot
I'm
as
gonna do Ray
running
for a
for
minute.
selectman.
Okay.
And it didn't deter me. So you don't give up. So you find a way to reach out to a larger group. Going into my fourth term, did I go door to door? No, I did no door knocking this time around. I did send out a lot of letters. I sent out a lot of emails. I did a reasonable, dear friend card list. So to the ones that are coming in that didn't get into office, there's the opportunity there for sure to get back in. There's a lot of good candidates out there that didn't get elected, so.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
In all the different offices. so.
Absolutely.
Hey, congratulations.
No, thank you.
Tell
Thank
Paula
you.
congratulations.
Yeah.
You're out of the house for another 3 years.
Yeah.
You know something? She's doing a dance right now because I'm not going to be in the house for another 3 years.
Okay. All right, Maureen, get up here.
Thank you.
Look, you didn't dress for TV, did you?
Yes, she did.
I'm
Words
kidding
matter.
you. Oh, of course, it's a
Hashtag words.
message T-shirt.
This was
Now here, you got to pull it in. You got to, because you're going to get. Come on, yeah, watch. Yeah, I know these chairs are awful.
I know, they're
There you go.
terrible.
Come on,
We
go
didn't do
there.
this last year.
All right.
Not
These are
in the
different.
Maureen
Look
Butts,
at
who was
this.
elected last year to the Board of Selectmen, who was here to speak about question 4, which was the vote to change the name of the Board of
question
Selectmen.
Be question one.
Question 1.
But
All right,
that's okay.
sorry, precinct 4. I'm looking at 4. Question 4. Yeah, question 2 and 3, we don't know. And how about that number? Was 61% to 38%.
It's a good number.
Yeah. Did anybody campaign on its behalf? Outside of letters in the item, did anybody go out there and work on it?
I heard every single day from folks. Folks
Okay.
trying to change this, having conversations with their kids about it every single day. So yes, I think there were people actively campaigning for it, and then I think there were people actively campaigning against it.
So it sort of generated its own.
I think,
Tide, if you will.
it started, it was really, as we've always said, it was Town Administrator Steve Mayo's idea. He saw going to meetings that other
Well, they
towns
are
were doing
blaming you
this.
for this, aren't they, Mr.
And
Mayo?
30
give him
other
the credit.
towns, 30 other
They got
towns,
61%. This is, yeah.
30
Yeah.
other towns and across the state have been making this change. Just last night, Reading voted to change their town name to select board, and Arlington's voting on it tomorrow to change it. So this is a wave coming.
When we were at the MMA, we had people come up to both of us who heard about the change, asking the process that we went through. So I think, it's a change coming. It's an overdue change. It should be a change that just happens, move on.
No, I love that it generated such fervor.
And it was a longer process here.
the whole,
because it
the
was part of
item,
our
I think the item
charter.
sold extra issues just based
So
on this
I'm
alone,
sure.
so
So
you
we-
get those items, to get those numbers,
Well, it's an issue that for me was, and I appreciate the tradition behind it, but it was a right and wrong issue, which I know is not great, but gay marriage to me is like that too.
So we spent a lot of time
wrong
talking about it, right?
issue.
It was the
Yeah.
first board meeting we discussed it was in June of last year. So 10 months ago. And then we voted at it at town meeting.
Yeah,
and
that
it
was a fabulous discussion there. There was some
331.
interesting,
That was a fun discussion.
that was a lot of, I had a great time with that.
By the way, this
That
is,
was
again,
great.
what a great town we live in, that this is the issue. I feel like this is such an obvious thing to have done. It shouldn't
Yes.
be taking up this much time. This should have been such an easy change.
Well, so that was part of the slam, though. The people said, why are you wasting the time? My response was, I thought it was going to be a 2-second discussion.
Exactly, agreed.
And I can multitask. I can talk about this issue. I can talk about the budget. But anyways, it was
I
a
can
decisive
understand
win.
the tradition.
I
of
cannot.
skipping it.
I
See, I can
cannot.
understand where people
What
are coming
tradition?
from.
Selectmen? That's not a tradition.
It's 347 years old or something. I'm close.
Yeah,
Mark,
not in
Mark's
Wakefield,
at
in every
home
town.
thinking, yeah, no, in the
six-
town of Wakefield. 347, 3, anyway.
You know, it was
so
a
I can
tradition, so was
understand
South
that.
Reading
We
was
have
a
to be
tradition.
more open to everyone's ideas. Otherwise, we're going to have this polarizing tribalism. So I'm saying, not that I didn't think it was a great idea to do it. I'm
course
just
you did.
pointing out.
Thank you,
Yes,
Steve, for the
of course
idea.
I did. Yeah. So.
No, I
So what else is going on now? You got some TV stuff. You got some free TV
So
time here,
no,
huh?
no, we increased voter turnout today to 20%, right? It was 18% last year, so more
is
and
good.
more people are voting.
It's got to
I
be
heard
Saturday,
you-
right? It's got to be Saturday.
I heard you, I don't know, have we considered that?
You know,
I
I
don't
know
if
Betsy.
that'll get-
Betsy has thrown it out. I don't know that we've discussed
Or
it.
she's screaming right now, why are
On
they
the
bringing this
council,
up?
right,
So-
that-
Oh, wait, do you know how many
That's-
people hate us right now?
I
We're
think I
just-
hear
Yeah,
that.
right. Oh,
So,
yeah, it's
so I
fine.
do think I heard you talking earlier about, Anthony was talking about all these great candidates, and I think that's been over the last couple of years. I think there are great candidates coming out. I think at yesterday's meeting, we actually appointed great candidates to a lot of our boards and positions. I think people in
New
Wakefield
candidates.
are excited for opportunities to participate, and we're going to keep on finding those opportunities.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
I
That
agree.
is just, you know.
The activism is so much larger, the pool's larger than when I was younger, and you saw, and those names were great, but you really did see the same names over and over again.
Right.
A lot of iconic names did not win tonight. I like Wakefield iconic names.
Right.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
But
All right, we're
anyways.
kicking you
So
out.
I just want to
good
thank
job.
everyone for voting on the name change, and Councilor Santos, I will
And I'm
be
sorry, I
seeing
apologize. I
you.
didn't
Counselor
see words
Butt, I
matter.
will see
I
you
thought
as
you were
well.
just.
So,
Oh,
yeah.
I understand
This was a
now.
term
I thought,
coined by
yes.
actually Ann. She said it at one of our meetings, and
Right.
so we use it all the time. Words do matter.
Hashtag
Words
words
matter.
matter.
Hashtag
Yeah.
words matter. So
They do.
thank you. I'll see you
All
at
right.
dodgeball on Saturday.
I'll say dodgeball.
Sounds
Yeah, I
good.
should make that pitch. Actually, dodgeball kicks off tomorrow with Wakefield DPW versus Stoneham DPW.
Oh.
It should be a pretty intense game. Yeah. Well, Tom, don't sound so excited.
I have to make sure they get on this chair. 'cause it's
Yeah.
tricky.
Thank
Right.
you.
Je-
Anyway.
I'm gonna start by sucking up right now. Just like, no, I don't care. Jennifer, out of all the candidates, and I told this.
This is
I think-
Jennifer Calais, who won municipal
Gas
gas
and
and
light.
electric.
Yep.
Thank you.
I thought
Congratulations.
you were
Congratulations.
one of the most
Yeah.
qualified candidates to ever run for the office. I think you're going to do a tremendous job. I read your resume and I was like, holy crap, there's no way you can't win.
Can you summon fire with neither tinder nor flint? Sorry, that's a Monty Python thing. Energy, get it? I don't know. Remember, hope somebody's getting that. I hope somebody got 220, 221 earlier. Just saying. All right, can you do
I do
that?
camp, but no, not with Flint per se.
Yeah, well,
And you drive
know.
a Nissan Leaf, which
Yes, which was part of the municipal utility promotion, actually. That's how I got that vehicle, and I saw a number of them today at the polls, so that was
and
pretty
they all
exciting.
voted for you. I would bet that anybody who drove a Prius or a Nissan Leaf voted for Julie Smith Galvan and Jennifer Calais.
Well, that would be an interesting thing to take a look at. But
What made you decide to do this?
so I've been really interested in what's going on in town and how I can have, more of an impact in what's going on in town. And that's been for a number of years, but really, recently just wanting to bring a broader array of energy topics into what's being discussed at our municipal utility. So, I was participating kind of around the edges. I was participating at the state level. I was participating, looking at what other towns were doing and looking at what Wakefield was doing and hoping to kind of bring the three all together.
Great.
By having more of a role in Wakefield. So, that's
What do
really
you find interesting about us having our own municipal light and gas company?
Well, it's a huge opportunity for us, and I think everyone recognizes that. I mean, what I've heard from folks that I've talked to, and certainly
As opposed to,
NSTAR.
an
Yeah,
investor-owned
right.
utility,
Sorry, yes,
exactly,
yeah, I
like
wanna-
NSTAR,
yeah.
Eversource, or National Grid.
that's somewhat unique.
So it is. There are 40 or so municipal utilities in Massachusetts.
So there's certainly a huge opportunity. There's a lot more local control. There's so certainly rates and reliability are utmost issue and a foundation, but you can go beyond that and craft your own incentive programs that are tailored to your specific town and interests of your customers. You can offer services that your customers are uniquely interested in, and you can coordinate efforts that the municipal utility is interested in or focused on with issues and that our town is focused on. So I think that's an opportunity that a lot of other towns don't have.
Plus, you know what? I may be wrong, but it's just sort of an observational thing. But I think we have great on the ground, up the pole, truck guy. I really do. I mean that. I'm not.
We don't lose power like surrounding
absolutely.
Or if you do something happens, or if you have something on your street, or you have, something blew up the street from. I just, Dan Flynn thinks I'm sucking up to him now at home, but really those guys.
Well, they're local too, and they're vested in their community.
That's the other thing too.
Yeah.
You know what
and
I
they're
mean?
focused on Wakefield.
Yeah, right.
So you're not
exactly.
competing with other towns
Right,
for
right.
priority.
That's right.
But but it's almost like they have pride in what happens.
100%.
You know what I mean?
I agree
think
with
that's
that.
so cool. Like they're right out there. Something happens. It's 2-3 trucks. Bang, they're up. It's it's the pole's down, the line's down, it's up. I really do think that. I'm not just.
And it's their neighbors.
I'm not just
so it
blowing
means
smoke.
it's their family, their friend, their neighbors.
Right.
So there's a connection.
It's very cool. I always think those guys are. It's really kind of
bringing a lens that is stepped outside of Wakefield, which is not that. I don't know that the Gas and Light Commission necessarily has brought that lens. I think it's going to be exciting to add something.
No offense to the current board.
Absolutely
and again, none at all. But I don't know if any of them have that kind of background in renewable energy that you do, Jennifer. I just don't think any of them do. I'm just trying to go through the names, and I don't think any of them do. So I think it's
exciting for the town.
It is exciting for the town. So no pressure. But we expect. So how many windmills to make? If you answer that, by the way, I'd be very impressed.
No, yes, I cannot answer that.
No.
And I do actually think there's, and I think a lot of people are talking more about solar on roofs and things like that. Windmills are different siting altogether.
Right.
See, things I wouldn't know, but no. I mean, well, this is, it is, and there are so many different things other towns do that hopefully we can see in Wakefield. I know I was speaking to a very dear friend of mine about home Boxford. They do geothermal for air conditioning. The LEAF incentive program. I mean, there's so many cool things we could do. And I think Wakefield's ready for it.
Absolutely.
I think your election vote counts speak to it. I think Julie's vote count speaks to it.
And towns are starting to come together and learn from one another and explore new opportunities. So it's a great time to bring that in. Yeah.
Good.
Absolutely.
And I got to tell you, I'm fascinated at how your campaign caught on, and the vote you got. I mean, that's pretty impressive. I mean, you came sort of out of nowhere and decided to do this and just made this impressive showing.
You
know what I mean?
beat Wakefield at two. I don't want to use the word icons because I don't want to make it be more melodramatic, but Wayne Tyre and Ken Chase are formidable political.
Yeah.
I mean, those are political machines in Wakefield.
Yeah.
And you beat both of them.
Yeah.
I also want to go back to the intelligence of our voters, recognizing that a resume that speaks to this board is something really to look at and to think about and to vote for. I love that.
Yeah.
Sure.
So hey, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you very
How'd it
much.
go?
All right.
Great job.
Things I'm not
Great job.
sitting down. I keep having to go around.
Yeah. Our little Steve Kornacki guy. Speaking of resumes, I want Ed Dombrowski to know I'm sending my resume down to him tomorrow. Hey, listen, we're going to wrap up here.
Actually,
It's a great show.
From Tony Longo asking to read a message. I swear to God.
Yeah.
I basically just wanted to congratulate everybody, and he looks forward to working with all the new people in Wakefield for a safer and better community. So thanks,
How'd
Tony.
it go? Hey, this was great, and this show evolves every year because of the folks here at WCAT. I'm not kidding. This is very cool.
Absolutely.
The way from the set to the format to the idea that Anthony working the board. It's really great. The way the numbers come in, this is sort of a loosey-goosey more than most shows that we have, or when I work the debates or that kind of thing. So it's really fun, and I think CAT does an amazing job. Tom Stapleton, as always, and David Watts Jr., who produces this show flawlessly.
Absolutely.
Everybody on the camera, the guys in the control room, and that kind
Ryan,
of stuff.
Ian, Adam.
There is one thing. Am I going to get something up on the screen here? A picture of somebody? Yeah. You know, I got to tell you, yeah, I don't know if it's coming. Yeah. Ann and I were talking about, you know, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention Phyllis Hall. Everybody wanted me to talk about during the debates. I didn't think that was the time or place. That was, but Ann and I were talking about the last time I can remember a losing candidate who came down here the night she lost and sat here was Phyllis.
That's right.
You know, and that just sums up. She came down, she took her medicine, she ran again and won. But I mean, she was something else. And as I said,
and if she were in the race,
yeah,
Julie still would have won, but it would have been interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Phyllis was she was one of a kind. I agreed with probably. I didn't agree with 90% of what she wanted to do half the time, but she had integrity.
Myself as well.
And she
but loved
she
serving
had commitment,
with her. Loved serving with her.
Her heart was in the right place.
And,
so just you know, just
agreed.
a little nod wherever she is. She's up there yelling at somebody and organizing them or calling them wacky or something in heaven. I know that. So again. Good job. Hey, Anthony, excellent job.
No,
this
thank
is
you,
great.
Bill. Thank you.
This
Always
is great.
the best.
The Dean of Students at Suffolk Law School.
Associate Dean,
thank
Yeah,
you.
Associate Dean. All right, I like Dean.
Congratulations
stuff. Anyway.
on the announcement
hey, listen,
for rep.
to every single person who ran, honestly, I know there's got to be some bitter disappointment out there. But it's just, you know, a salute or a tip of the hat or whatever you want to say, any redundant synonym. Anybody who pulls nomination papers and runs is to be admired and respected. It's just, you know, it says something. It says something about those folks. So once again, thanks to CAT, David Watts Jr.,
Thank you very much, David.
Tom Stapleton. Great job here, great show. We're going to sign off, and that wraps it up.
Hey, did the Celtics win?
Yeah, it looks like they're winning.
They're winning. So,
but it's close.
All right, thanks again, and we're signing off now. We out of here,
Harb.
kids? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay.